Well, hello and welcome everybody. It's a forecast year here reporting in. We've got a heck of a situation over in the Middle East, um, especially in Yemen, what's happened recently. Today we're reporting in. Today is Friday, March the 27th, 2015. Thank you for joining us for a preview and a forecast, a geopolitical assessment of what's happening over there and what's likely to happen in the near term and longer term future. We're going to talk about Yemen, the geopolitical situation, the area they're there, and also some historical parallels today. So without further ado, the CIA um, has done phenomenal work, and it used to be in the earlier days of the internet, this had high SEO. Their website came up when you would Google around and Yahoo search around for a topic on a country, this was highly ranked. Lately, Wikipedia's kind of displaced them, and I would encourage you to look at a lot of different sources to get your information here and there so you can find out what the deal really is, because some of them are saying very different things. But I'd say the CIA has done phenomenal work on building this world fact book. You may or may not agree with all of it, but there's a lot of research there, and they have information on the geography, the history, and what's going on in the military, other stuff. There's quite a lot of stuff there, and they put a lot of effort into it. So it's an interesting research as tool as you're doing geopolitical research. Just a quick background, though, the people of Yemen, and I've met some of them. The ones I've met who've come to the United States are all nice people, hardworking. They want to come here and make a better life, and I don't have a bone to pick with them personally. I think it's a tragedy what's happening in the country, but basically many of the rebels have risen up. I don't know all the nuances of why it's happening, but I do know this. It has happened before, that they've had civil wars in the past. Look at all these civil wars they've had in Yemen. Okay, it hasn't exactly been a stable situation. It used to be North and South Yemen, and then there was Oman and all that good stuff. But back in the 70s and the 80s, in the 60s, they had an emergency there. Again, another civil war. And they had a coup back then, and then they had an insurgency. I mean, this is going on like almost every 5 years. And then you think about, so I mean, that's a tragedy for them in the situation they're in. I mean, if you can imagine living in Yemen and trying to make a go of it, as far as make a living. They're right across the waterway there, the Red Sea from Somalia. And as you'll remember, back in the 90s during the Clinton regime, there were some warlords in Somalia, and we tried to go in there and kind of kick them out, and it didn't really work. That's right. We had the best military in the world in there trying to stabilize that area, and we couldn't do it. They're right now trying to do a bombing run to like the Saudis and all that are trying to stabilize the situation and put down this mass rebellion. I don't think it's going to work, because historically they keep having this flare up, right? And we were in there right across the way from Somalia. If you look at where Somalia is, let's look at the geopolitical map here. If you look at where Yemen is, and there's Sana'a, the capital of Yemen, and it used to be North and South Yemen at one time, and it's all together after the Civil War. There's Oman. I think maybe that was North Yemen. I'm not sure. Anyhow, here's what matters. They're in a tough neighborhood. This area is almost like the Wild West, like a lawless region. Mogadishu, remember that? That was Black Hawk Down. Do you remember Black Hawk Down, where we had, again, a great military, the U.S. military in there. We had special forces in there, Army Rangers, and it was a terrible situation. And frankly, Clinton did not give them the right tools. He put them in Hummers, and they requested armor like this and they didn't get it. So Clinton was a terrible commander in chief. Let's be honest. But and that was a big part of the problem there. But even still, even with incompetent Clinton as commander in chief for that operation, we still, in spite of that, we still had to pack it in and get out of there. And it's still a lawless region today. And guess what else has another lawless region that we're trying to control and work with control? Pakistan. And they're nuclear armed. We're trying to have a negotiation right now to stop Iran from getting nukes and all this. And you can argue about whether that's in fact their intent as far as nuclear weapons, or is it nuclear energy or something else, or is it, they're doing it as a smokescreen to get nuclear weapons. Who knows? But Saudi Arabia is trying to get nuclear weapons, and Pakistan already has like 100+ nukes. And this area up here, Peshawar and stuff, we had the school tragedy and the Taliban. This is out of lawless region. They make their own guns up there. They got one of the biggest open-air gun markets in the world in Pakistan, and also down in Yemen. Frankly, we would forecast here like guns, provided they're used responsibly in the hands of responsible people. So kind of, so-so kind of feeling about the open-air gun market situation. But there exists one, and so they're not just going to go in there and disarm these people or something. It's a long history that they're all super heavily armed. And frankly, they can't even control this area here. They can easily run weapons from here to here. Some people have to say they may end up being armed by Iran, so they can't. They're not going to prevent them getting weapons down here. I don't see the kind of the regional powers here being able to control the situation by bombing the daylights out of people. It's not going to make friends over there, really. It's just going to get them madder. So I don't see that really as the solution. I see it as metastasizing this thing like cancer, and we're going to see a crazy lawless situation in the Middle East. I believe is going to spread. We already got that situation right now in Libya. Libya's fallen apart, right? Somolia has been a terrible situation for a long time. We've got the U.S. military here in Djibouti, right? We used to be a French military encampment. I guess maybe it still is for the French Foreign Legion or something like that. And now we got the American expedition there, and it's the headquarters for AFRICOM. No Western country is really able to hold and take Ethiopia. I think Italy tried to, but it didn't really totally work out. Sudan is a totally, they're having a war still with South Sudan. And so this whole area, if you think about where there's major unrest, it's a continuous region now, virtually. It extends from Libya to Sudan, Somalia. As soon as it spreads through here, we're going to have a dangerous situation for these guys. They're going to go to an island. They're going to be completely surrounded by an incredibly crazy, out-of-control situation. What do you think is going to happen to the U.S. military there? We already had to pull out the presence here as far as the embassy in Yemen. It got too dangerous. I believe, and I'm going to predict a couple things, these bombing runs are not going to fix the situation in Yemen. It's going to get worse. It's going to be a long, drawn-out, unstable situation that's going to spread and metastasize. And I would go so far as to say, likely, we may have to pull out of Djibouti, that it may simply get too dangerous. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll be able to hang in there. But if you look at this area, if that happens, that'll be very symbolic. We then won't be able to protect this route. And we're already having a problem with the pirates are going to be coming back. And if they get routed out of here, and they could think about it, they could be under siege for a long time. If they're under siege and they can't get resupplied here, what do you think is going to happen? Eventually, they have to flee and get out of there, or surrender. It's going to be a crazy situation for the Marines and the other people from the Western militaries that are here in Djibouti. And they don't have a lot of friends there that like them. Not people in Somalia, not Yemen, and Ethiopia, so-so. They've really tried hard to keep all the Western countries out of Ethiopia, historically. So I think they're eventually going to have to move this headquarters out of Djibouti to one that's more friendly to the West. Maybe it's Kenya, maybe it's southern part of Nigeria. I don't know, but I know they want to hold this because they want to keep the Red Sea open. It's so strategic that they do it, right? They got boats going through here with oil and stuff up to the Suez Canal. So I get why they want to keep this thing open, right? But watch for a game changer. If this thing gets choked off, we're looking at a crazy situation. I mean crazy. And I predict that's eventually what's going to happen. When that event occurs, to get oil out of here, it's going to have to go to the west. It's going to have to go over pipelines or somewhere else. If you see this happen, you know we've lost control of the Middle East. All right? And we are close to that. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that we're able to hang in there in Djibouti. I hope that we're able to be a good neighbor to these people, a better neighbor than we've been in the days past. And I hope we can work together and live together as better neighbors. But the situation looks real bad. Keep an eye on what's going on over there. And again, I don't think that these airstrikes are going to stop the problem. I think it's going to metastasize and get worse. So we have to get clever about how we work with these people and reach out to them so they can have a better community, a better future. Thanks for tuning in to Forecast Year. More info to come. Thanks so much.